Hey everyone, I finished watching the next Ninja Storm episode, The Return of Thunder Part 1. It's a episode. So at Storm Chargers, Dustin and Tori meet up with this former motocross champion. He's looking for Blake and Hunter, and they tell him they don't know where they are. So he leaves his card with Dustin, and Tori is thinking back to Blake and Hunter and thinking about how she really misses Blake, and she wants to borrow Dustin's bike and go for a ride to make herself feel better. And Dustin really doesn't like this. He objects strongly to her taking his bike. He really doesn't like the idea, but eventually, after some convincing, he reluctantly allows her to take the bike on the condition that if anything goes wrong with it, she's going to be the one to fix it. So then, meanwhile, Blake and Hunter are off in a desert somewhere, going to meet up with somebody. Then suddenly Chubo appears, and Chubo tells them that he wants to work with them against Lothor, because he's tired of being made fun of. And the brothers don't trust him at first, but they decide to go along with him for now. So then back with Tori, she's biking along, and suddenly someone in blue starts following her, and she gets nervous. She heads off into the woods trying to lose the person, and as she's trying to take a kind of dangerous path in hopes that it'll deter that person following her, she crashes the bike. And then the person in blue catches up with her, takes the helmet off, and it's Blake. And she's like, "Oh, it's you." And he's like, "Yeah, I wanted to tell you, Chubo wants, Chubo is defecting from Lothor. He asked us for help, and we want you guys to help us." And so, let's see, the Rangers agree to join Blake and Hunter, but on the condition that, Blake and Hunter will go up to the ship first and then contact the Rangers. But it's all a trap, and Lothor traps the Thunder Rangers. Lothor asks Chubo what they should do next, and after some banter, eventually Chubo comes up with, "We should brainwash them and make them forget who they were." And so then later on Earth, Dustin encounters Blake and Hunter, and they don't acknowledge him. They act like they don't even know him, and he's like, "Huh, that's really weird." Oh, and also there's a scene with Dustin talking to Tori about his broken bike and it being fixed or something. Moving on, because it's not important at all, I guess, suddenly, even though they made a really big deal about it in the beginning, and whatever. Anyway, a new monster is attacking, they go to fight the monster, and suddenly the Thunder Rangers attack them. And they're like, "What's going on?" And so then, after a scuffle, the Rangers are able to, fight away the Thunder Rangers and focus on the monster. Blake collapses and is like, I'm so confused, what's going on?" And Hunter's like, "Dude, what's the matter?" And then Blake's like, "No, I'm okay. We gotta go get the Rangers." And neither of them quite know what's going on at this point. The Rangers defeat the monster, Lothor makes it grow, they summon the Zords, they fight the monster. Then the Thunder Rangers summon their Zords, and then suddenly, neither of them suddenly know what they're doing, and they're like, "Wait, what are we doing? Why are we in our Zords? Where are we? What's going on?" Then up in the spaceship, Chubo is like, "Oh, I can do this," and so then he goes down and strengthens the spell over Blake and Hunter so that they'll forget who they are and go back to fighting the Rangers. And so then the Rangers defeat the monster, and then they're fighting with the Thunder Rangers, and then Chubo zaps a laser at the monster, which the monster's still there. It blows up the monster and then shoots lasers at the Rangers' Zords, which teleports them away. The editing, yeah, it's kind of hard to follow exactly what's going on at this point. I don't really know what exactly Chubo did to the monster. It's been a while since I watched this. Maybe the monster was teleported away with the Rangers? I don't exactly know what's going on. Cam and Sensei are looking on their sensors. I can't find them anywhere. It's like they're not on Earth. And then we see Shane wake up on some mysterious beach coast all alone. He calls out, but none of the Rangers are there. And then up on Lothor's ship, Mara and Capri Mara is planning for a date with Chubo, and Capri is mad about it. Yeah. And that's the end. That's what we're ending on, is a weird gag like that. The episode is a bit messy. It's okay. It's fine. But one of the things I've definitely noticed with Ninja Storm is how sloppy some of the episodes feel. It really feels like there's certain things that they just do. Like, stuff just happens, and, don't question it. Just stuff happens. And it's one of the things that makes the Disney era seasons kind of hard to analyze, like I'm doing, because there's so much that kind of feels like it never occurred to the creators behind the scenes that anybody would actually think about the show or think about the intentions behind certain actions the characters take, or story points, or character moments, and this and that. So anyway, where am I in my notes here? Okay, there I am. The whole thing with Dustin's bike really feels like it should have been a bigger deal, because they dedicate so much time at the beginning to him worrying about Tori taking his bike. They make a big deal about him being worried about that she's going to damage the bike in some way. Then she crashes it, and then we don't really hear anything else about it. There's one little offhand mention of it. This is another thing I've noticed with some of these Ninja Storm episodes, is it feels like they're setting up something, but then it's just kind of brushed off with a single line, which is okay, but it does make the episode feel a little sloppy, and some of the scenes have far less weight when they don't have any kind of meaningful outcome. The whole thing with the bike kind of reminds me of Pokemon. Ash made a big deal about what his hat meant to him once, and then when he switches the hat, it's just done with, like, no explanation, no acknowledgement, or at least I don't think there was. Maybe there was an episode somewhere in the hundreds of Pokemon episodes where they actually acknowledge why he changed the hat and the clothes and whatever. And I don't just mean, like, well, because Nintendo or whoever, the animators, thought that he should have a new look for the new season or something. So moving on from all that, the stock music is, again, really obnoxious, and they use it way too often. That's a big problem, especially in the early Disney seasons. Like, they had, like, composers to do some music, but when they didn't have music there, they would put in stock music, and it gets really noticeable. It's really irritating. It's not as bad as it is in, like, some other episodes and seasons, but it's still pretty annoying. The monster of the episode is... he's not memorable in the least. He doesn't have a personality, he doesn't have a memorable voice, he doesn't really even have a role to play in this episode, he just kind of shows up. And that's fine, like, not every monster needs to be the focus of the episode, but he seems just completely unnecessary. The only reason he's there is because they wanted to use the Zord fight footage at the end. And also there's some fight footage from Hurricaneger in the episode, and I don't think they needed to use that here. I think they could have built up Blake and Hunter a little bit more and saved the monster for the next episode, maybe? Or maybe just save him for a completely separate episode altogether. So, let's see, the running gag of the episode is Mara and Capri have a crush on Chubo suddenly because Lothor promoted him to being a general, and I don't really get it. Like, I guess they're attracted to someone who has authority? I don't know. It's really strange. Maybe it's just the aromantic in me talking, but I don't get it. Like, there's romantic stories that I like, but, yeah, it's a gag. It's not really meant to be a genuine romantic story going on here. It's just a joke, and I just don't find it funny. Like, Mara and Capri are genuinely funny characters. They're played by funny actors, but I don't know. This doesn't really work. It just feels very dumb. The other thing that this episode made me think about, I don't really like Blake and Hunter being brainwashed and fighting the Rangers again as bad guys. At this point in the show, I just want them to get over the brainwashing, join the Rangers, and become part of the team, because I really like them. They're really likable actors, they're really good characters, and I'm sick of seeing them as, like, the bad guys, and especially as brainwashed bad guys. I'm not a fan of brainwashed bad guys often. Sometimes it works, most of the time, though, it just comes off as annoying, because, especially if it's an established character, brainwashing them just kind of takes away everything you spent, all the time you spent establishing them, and they're just a drone. So, see, I was thinking that a stronger way to do this kind of story, if you wanted to have Blake and Hunter brainwashed again, is to not have the stuff with Chubo and them at the beginning. Just start the episode with them showing up, like, just out of nowhere fighting the Rangers. The Rangers are just as confused as the audience is. like, we can still hear Blake and Hunter's voices. They're not the deep, garbled voices. They're not completely different monster voices. It's just Blake and Hunter. So the audience would be like, oh, why are they bad guys? And then throughout the episode, maybe have flashbacks or something. Like, maybe those times when Blake and Hunter are experiencing confusion, we're seeing flashbacks to the beginning, and we see them talking with Chubo in the desert. Then later we see them, like, up on Lothor's ship. We see Lothor trap them. Chubo tells Lothor his plan to brainwash them, and then it's all revealed at the end to the audience. I think that would be a much stronger way to do this kind of story. However, the way it is done, like, it works just fine, and it makes Chubo look competent, although I think the flashback thing I described would have also shown Chubo to be more than just the dumb idiot character, which, after this, it's pretty much always just Chubo's dumb, and it gets old. So, that's about it I have to say for this one. There's not a whole lot to it. It's the first part of a... How many episodes is this? 4 parts. Oh boy. I'm hoping I don't have to wait 3 more episodes before Blake and Hunter just join the team. I'm really hoping that it's quicker. I don't remember exactly. I haven't watched Ninja Storm in a long time, so I am looking forward to seeing what comes next. And after this, they are established. They're solidly part of the team. And I know these episodes that come afterwards. Oh, and we get the Green Ranger joining. Oh, and there's a couple of really good episodes coming up. So anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.